The following podcast is provided by Era Living, innovator in residential retirement options since 1987. And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network with Era Living senior staff. And we're so excited to be talking to you about these amazing communities that are in the greater Seattle area. 8 communities. And if you're in the greater Seattle area, they have communities in Bellevue, Seattle, Mercer Island, Issaquah, all over the place. So we're really excited, obviously, to talk a little bit about culture of this exceptional organization. And this is a person that really is at the linchpin to what makes these communities absolutely exceptional. And we are here with the Regional Director of Health and Wellness, Sarah Chimbanga. And Sarah, welcome to Answers for Elders.
Thank you.
Sarah, I am really, I would say the quality of care, even though it's something that people kind of pass over and they don't want to talk about it, that's the core. That's why if you're in assisted living, if you're in memory care, something like that, you're needing assistance in many ways. This is a time when people are at their most vulnerable in their lives. So tell me a little bit about how you work with families in this move-in process, in this orientation process, to make sure they feel comfortable and that their needs are going to be met.
Mm-hmm. We understand that any move is stressful. There's a lot of factors that go into that. So our goal as a team is how can we make the transition as smooth as possible? And how can we make sure that we are equipping the resident and family or the representative for success in any of our communities? So our move-in process is pretty extensive. I'd like to think of it as a 2-part. The first part is where we solicit information from the resident's provider, because we want to get a feeling for what are some of the medical conditions that maybe the resident is going through, and they things that we can help manage in our setting. And then we also look at the resident's functional needs. So when we do the in-person assessment with the resident, we talk about things that we all do on a daily basis. How are you doing with dressing? How are you doing with showers? All of the plans of care that we put into place are very individualized. So we want to make sure if it's Sarah that's moving in and we're providing dressing assistance for Sarah, we want to make sure that it's to Sarah's liking. I want to wake up in the morning at usually 8. I go to bed usually at 9. That way we're making sure that we're not too disruptive. As that move in, but then we're also making sure that we're able to take care of our residents.
Sure. And obviously each person, their needs are as unique as a snowflake. There's nothing alike, right? So you're dealing with, obviously, a lot of detailed information, a lot of, specifics about maybe someone's ability to be mobile, making sure that where they're living is going to be supportive for them. It's kind of a full evaluation, is it not?
It is. And we gather a lot of really sensitive information and a lot of protected information. And we want to be cognizant of that. So when we have residents reserve, they sign a confidential release information, and we share that with the providers from whom we're getting information. And even when we ourselves are handling that information, we make sure it's not anything that anyone outside of that assessment process can access. When you're asking someone about their day-to-day activities, that can be pretty sensitive. And so what we always try to do during the assessment is build a relationship of trust, right? If you're going to be forthcoming with your needs, there needs to be that level of trust first. So we try to establish that to say, it's all of this is in an effort to make sure that your move is as smooth as possible, and that your needs, we know that are going to evolve, that we can still help meet them along that journey.
Sure. And obviously, you do different levels of care. So in different types of community, obviously that's different types of licensing. It's different types of expertise. Would you kind of give me an overview about what that looks like?
Yeah, so each of our communities has a disclosure of services, and that is a state document that most facilities have that say, here are the things that we can and cannot do. And sometimes we even provide a little bit of clarification as to what that entails. But we use that document and share that with residents and with families to say, here are all of the things that we can do from the beginning when we do the assessments. Some, for example, may move in just needing very minimal services. I only need help with my compression stockings, for example. And over time, maybe that progresses to, I now need help with, more of my shoes, maybe. So as residents progress and as they age in place, the way our license is set up is we're able to go and be able to provide more and more care. And the beauty about our type of licensing, which is flexible licensing, is you don't have to move out of your apartment once you start to need care. So,
and that's important for couples. Very important to keep mom and dad together.
Yeah. So I think a lot of residents find comfort in that because we know just the move in itself into the community is big and it's stressful, but to know that should I need help, and once I start to need help, the help will come to me. I think that is an added benefit of our
absolutely not having to move, not having to have a situation where if wife is experiencing dementia and husband is not, you don't have to be separated. That's important, and certainly the most dignified and way to treat someone with dignity as you do so. And obviously you guys, when you do help assisted living, a lot of people don't understand what all the services are. I would just love for you to just kind of share people a little bit about what does assisted living mean and what does memory care mean?
So assisted living is primarily where we provide assistance with what we call activities of daily living. So these include most exercises or most activities that we all do on a regular basis. So dressing and eating and mobility. How do we get in and out of bed? How do we get in and out of chairs? Meals and meal reminders. We do also health management in helping our resident manage medical appointments, manage their overall health and well-being. And then in two of our communities, we have memory care, where if a resident, in addition to needing assistance with activities of daily living, now also might need more support from a memory standpoint. They might have maybe a diagnosis of dementia that requires a different set of skills.
Yes,
exactly. So we're able to provide both memory care and also assisted living services within our two communities that have memory care. And then the other communities that do not, the beautiful piece about it is we're also able to refer in-house and that same expertise as well.
Yeah. And obviously, you do a thorough assessment up front, but then there's, we all change. We all evolve. So you do reassessments periodically. How do you define what you do?
Yes. So we do the pre-move-in assessment, and from that, we try to gather and gauge what are some of the services that we think a resident might need coming in. We also know that once you actually start to provide the care, once the residents actually start to receive the care, that there might be some tweaks that need to be made. And so we usually do another assessment 2 weeks after moving in. And then following that, we do one every 6 months or whenever there's a change in condition.
And obviously, if they're ever hospitalized or something like that, you reassess before they come back into the community. I'm assuming that goes on as well.
That is correct. So if any of our residents were to go to the hospital, we work with the resident, we work with the family, work with their representative and also the hospital in trying to put together a plan of care that will meet their needs at that time so that we can facilitate another smooth transition back to the community.
Absolutely. And Sarah, you have, you talk about the care team. Obviously, family members are obviously very much involved. How do you work with family?
So we consider our families as part of the care team, and because of that, a lot of our residents do have families, some may not, but we also understand it takes a community to take care of a resident. A lot of families help support the residents with appointments, whether it's outside the community. They help with kind of being the bridge or the advocate between the resident and their providers. So we found that it's really critical to include them anytime we're discussing the care. So for example, during the move-in process, a lot of families, if the resident chooses, do participate during that assessment, because one of the things that we're trying to do is to say, what can we as a community provide, and what can the family also provide or wants to provide? And together we kind of mesh those two. Here's what family's providing, here's what our community's providing, and here's what the resident wants, because we always, again, trying to keep the resident as the center of that.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I learned in the course of taking care of my mom when she was in assisted living, number one, I needed to have a list of all of her current medications. And sometimes I didn't know that there had been a change. That was really important, that I built a relationship with the healthcare team at her community so that they had that information to me. If they got a change, they would let me know, because my mom wouldn't let me know. She wouldn't know. And so those are things I think that, being in touch, I think families being in touch with the, the director of nursing in their community is so important. And I think that's something that you guys do so well with the attention to detail. I know that there's so many things that we don't even think about every day that you guys absolutely pay attention to those details. So Sarah, it's been such an honor to have you on the program. And guess what? We're going to have another segment coming up. And Sarah, you're going to stay with us for the next segment. Are you not?
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Guess what? For information on Era Living, please go to eraliving.com. Or you can just go on your favorite podcast platform and type in Answers for Elders and Era Living, and you'll see all kinds of podcasts. And we're looking forward to being back right after this. Era Living is locally owned and operates 8 premier retirement communities in Seattle, Renton, Mercer Island, Bellevue, and Issaquah. From vibrant, independent living to compassionate assisted living to secure memory care, Era Living respects and honors older adults by enhancing the quality of their lives. Learn more at eraliving.com.